So we all know that the lance is not one of the most popular weapons. I personally still have a blast with it every time I use it, especially now that the clutch counter is a thing. I still can't play it 100% proper due to my disability, but I can play it well enough to get very solid times and wreck any and all monsters. The quick strikes from the lance just scream to me to make an elemental build, and hopefully you lance lovers out there will enjoy it, and maybe it'll entice some of you to give lance a try. So for the build, I even stepped out of my own comfort zone. I'm a person who absolutely loves the comfort of guard 5 and being able to straight up face tank attacks with almost zero blowback in any way. In this build, I completely and totally scrapped guard altogether. But don't worry, if you don't like hop lance, I have another build later in the video with guard in it. Damage wise, the key components are going to be critical eye, ice attack, or whatever your respective element is, offensive guard, all being maxed out. Health boost is maxed out, of course, because duh. Since we don't have that heavy guard to rely on, we're going to be using a maxed out evade extender to hop out of harm's way, combined with our generous evade window provided through the Safi set. Lance eats through sharpness with the absolute quickness, so I highly recommend you slot in protective polish to get some extra time in between sharpening. I know we have an abundance of wetfish stones now, but you still want to have protective polish on there. And guard up is something I always try to have in my lance builds, but if you're going into a fight knowing that you won't actually need guard up, then feel free to switch it out. And of course, we finally have the crit element that comes built in with our Kiar lance. Speaking of Kiar lance, let's take a look at how we have this augmented. First, we have an affinity augment so that we can have 100% affinity up at all times, not just on the weak spots. We're going to have 100% affinity no matter where we hit. We get 10% from the Kiar ice lance, 10% from the affinity augment, 40% from the Safi 5-piece set bonus, and then the final 40% comes from that maxed out crit eye. With lance, I always have a health augment. I like having health augments period for comfort, but especially with the chip damage you still receive when you guard, it's definitely something I always have on my lances. And even though we'll mainly be avoiding hits with hops, we still need to guard to get offensive guard going in the first place, so we're still going to be receiving that chip damage. And don't forget you can proc offensive guard by guarding a roar. We finally round out the lance augments with a single elemental augment. When we talk about custom augments, you definitely want to go all element with these, and then on the last couple, it's pretty much your choice. Now, the guard variation of this build is exactly the same skill set, but we're swapping out those 3 levels of evade extender for 3 levels of guard, which with lance is extremely solid. You end up with absolute insane levels of element to dish out with those super pokes. If you get into it with a monster with even decent elemental hit zones, you'll be more than satisfied with the damage you can dish out, all while having the best shield ready to go at a moment's notice. I know people aren't a fan of the lance because they don't feel like you can do enough damage, but I disagree wholeheartedly. I was still able to get sub 10 or near 10 hunts done with ease, and that's coming from someone who definitely doesn't consider themselves a pro with the lance. Plus, we have people speedrunning Gold Rathians in like 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so I think the damage is fine. Strap on your shield, wield the power of the elements, and give the lance a spin. But that's going to be it for this one. Patreon and Discord info is in the description below, so feel free to join our Discord community. If you liked the video, let me know with that thumbs up. Comment down below why you think lance is good, or not so good. Subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already for more Iceborne, Monster Hunter, and other gaming content. Have a good night, and happy hunting.